Hello, y'all. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Jihan. I'm the Senior Growth Marketing Manager here at Swoogo, and we are so excited to jump in with our guests, Liz and Nicole from Club Ichi, so we can talk about how to turn your events from blah to bling. You know what I'm saying? So one of the icks that y'all told me during registration is when a speaker spends most of the time with an intro. So I'm going to make this real quick, right? So we can get it started because y'all are not about to come for me. So I've been in corporate events my entire life. Yes, I started when I was 12. And yes, you've probably heard that joke from me and you're going to hear it again until the end of time. But I started in pharmaceutical meetings. I moved to finance. And maybe things are different now. I doubt it based on all the think pieces and the research and everything that you see these days where things are boring. But it was very much you get them in, you sit them down, and you get them out, right? A very rinse and repeat. There was no razzle dazzle. And I could probably plan like a pharmaceutical POA with my eyes closed. And I think that's why I got burnt out. That and I didn't see the financial ROI of the programs that I was stressing myself out for. But things are different these days. We've read all the reports, all the think pieces, and the people want more. It's like the person who's had the massive glow up, like in a She's All That, you know what I mean? And they realize that, wait a minute, I'm a catch. Like the people need to fight for my time and attention. And they're not wrong. They deserve that. And we also now know that late registration is no longer a trend. It's a thing. Right? But there could be a number of reasons why that's happening. For today's purpose, let's consider that we are either not showing the value of our event up front or we haven't reinvented in a while. And our attendees really deserve the best we can offer. And I mean, obviously, we don't need a think piece to know that, right? We do it every day. And some of the icks that y'all put in there, it's very put into the registration when you register for this webinar. It's very clear that we want to keep pushing the envelope. We know that stuff gets boring. It's like, do you think that I want to keep offering the Italian buffet lunch on day 1 and the Mexican buffet lunch on day 2? No, that hurts me more than it hurts you.
I like tacos.
I do. Every single day, you know, every single conference, you're gonna have an Italian day 1, Mexican day 2, and a box lunch on day 3. Good luck eating that on the bus. You know what I'm saying? But with mounting pressures from every angle, what's your ROI? How are you measuring it? How are you getting more people out there? What's your customer retention? It's like, oh my gosh, I have to do that, and I have to find a better way to get people checked in. Oh my gosh. So we brought the wonderful Liz and Nicole here to dive into what we're doing, to what we can do to remix things. They started on the corporate side. Now they're on the fun side, I like to say. Like Liz and I had this conversation with Nicole in the background and so many ideas. Liz is like, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I feel like I didn't start when I was 12. I feel like I started when I was like last week. But before we dive into some real tips, let's define what unconventional means to each of us. So Liz, you want to go ahead and dive into what it means to both of y'all?
Hey, I'm Liz.
I'm Nicole.
We are here to pump you up. What does unconventional mean to you?
Not boring.
Yeah, that's it. That's all it means to you.
Well, I think it's unconventional in this sense is maybe a different format than people are used to, a different approach, things in different orders per se, can be, unconventional. You don't have to, do something on the moon that's literally never been done before. Because when you're trying to put together an event, you want people to come. They don't want to not understand it, and so unconventional is like, how far can you push it where people would still love to come? Like, it doesn't get too weird where they're scared and like, I don't know what this is. I'm not attending. But not kind of going down into being like, okay, so what do we got here? We got this. Like if they start checklisting, that's conventional.
And I'm going to go with something she always says, which is it is something that they have to look forward to and something that calls them back. So how are you looking forward to the event? And is it just because it's the event I go to every year? No, there's a reason you look forward to that. Identify what that is. Is it the people? It's probably not the keynoter. It's probably not the 42 breakout session choices. There's probably another reason that you should be doubling down on in your marketing. You're going to do the keynotes because they're amazing and worthwhile. You're going to do the breakouts because you have to and people want to learn, but that may not be the reason they're coming. So figuring the reason they look forward to it, and then what is the thing that that's going to go, oh my gosh, when does Reg open for next year? I have to be the first one in. What calls them back?
I love that. I love how you also said, Nicole, that it's remixing. It's not going to the moon. And that's what I also want to talk about this webinar today is some of the suggestions that we're going to go through may not work for your audience, but you can tweak it, right? If you say, oh, we should do this kind of dinner, maybe you do a $5 dinner versus a $50 dinner because everybody's audience is different. But it could be as simple as you said, maybe it's a different order of things. And instead of reinventing the wheel, it's what do you like and what can we do? So what can we do that fits into their likes and stays away from their icks?
And what's fun to plan? Because if it's boring to plan, it's going to be boring to attend.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
an example of like one thing that's really easy to just take, like, yes, you need to do sessions. If you need to do sessions, do them at night. So you go to these amazing places, we're going to go to this beautiful island or whatever else. Well, then we're going to put them in a ballroom or this place and we won't let them go out until at night when they actually can't see it. Like, what? If you want them to experience the culture and whatever else, like what if you did, drink and dash or drinking dinners or, dinner and whatever else. And your sessions are in the evening. Like, that's really cool. And then they see the destination during the day or do something else. Now, by the time they get there, you've given them a chance to bond. You don't even need to have networking sessions. That's what they did all day. Then when they go in your sessions and it's just natural and that's unconventional.
That is unconventional. And I love that you're also incorporating the location, because how many times have we gone on site or done a program or attended a program and people are like, oh, how was the city? And you're like, I don't know. I saw the airport to the hotel and that's it. So I love reframing what you can do when you don't have to do your keynote in the morning. Like, why are you starting with a keynote? And you're not forcing that registry, or excuse me, that networking.
Yep.
But let's start from the beginning. And I know all things with events are cyclical, right? So let's, for this purpose, say that registration is the beginning. Now you've easily built a badass reg site on Swoogo. No bias here, obviously. Whatever, duh. And then we're even implementing tips like Jay Schwedelson says, don't use register now. I mean, when y'all registered for this webinar, I said things, they were kind of ridiculous, but it's like, I don't do regular events. I do cool events like Mean Girls, or I like to shake shit up. Something that even if it's a corporate attendee, you can still speak to them like a human.
For sure.
So what other things can people do during the registration process or even after they've registered? Because one of the icks, my own personal ick, is you register and then you get the no before you go. And it's like, okay, but what happens in between? How do you keep that energy up?
Yeah, the biggest one, of course, is the drip campaign, but it shouldn't just be boring old like reminders that the event is coming up. There should be these moments of connection that happen with that. So how can you, again, like you said, use that more casual verbiage to tell people, in fact, the confirmation email, the one that's just standard, even in Swoogo, the standard one says registration confirmation and then has the thing for the number. I always change that to go, OMG, you're in, or holy crap, what did I just do? Or something where the subject line is like, oh, what do you mean, what did I just do? And then they click on it because they're like, oh, did I do something? And so it gives them a reason to open and see that it's not just like the confirmation number in there. It's here's what's going to happen. We're so excited that you're coming. We're thrilled that you're going to spend your time with us. So that's step one, touch one, and then put them into a drip campaign. And you can schedule those out inside Swoogo or use your marketing automation tool or whatever to drip out the speaker announcements and the other fun things and the ways people can network. That's the other one. How can you get them connected before the event? Does your company or community have some sort of asynchronous networking, a Slack channel, a Discord, a LinkedIn group, whatever, where you can send people to so they can start to get to know each other before they get there and feel like they're not alone when they get on site? What are the videos that you can feed out? If you've got leaders, executives, influencers, advocates, customers that can submit videos about why they come to this event every year and what they're looking forward to doing, have those drip out in those emails, have those go on social, keep people's energy up. Don't just keep sending out that same social graphic or the one thing that says, I'm going to this event. Yeah. Sweet. We need to do more than that.
Yeah. I love the idea of, how In-N-Out has a secret menu, right? It's just like, could you put like, here's things you're never going to see, or this is only once, is these are not on the agenda. Here's things that you could do or whatever else. And then you put it out there like, and it's only going to be, this information's only up for whatever, that kind of thing. Or ask them to pack something super weird.
Bring your rubber chicken.
Yes. And people be like, I don't know why. I have a rubber chicken and I am a little excited, nervous, scared, questioning. It doesn't matter. And then of course is just, find it, maybe, you're donating it as soon as they get on site to the children's hospital or a clown school. I don't know. But something like that, right? Is what makes them want to be like, well, what else is there? And oh my gosh. So stop talking about what they think you're going to talk about. So they can go on the website, they can find the one email or the thing that they need to have all the stuff. And what attendee ever thinks that they have to remember what's happening when they go on site? No, you're going to give them the thing. It's in your app. It's wherever it is. So why do you have to talk about it beforehand once they register? You don't.
That is so true. You have it on the website. You have it on the agenda. You have it in your program. What else? I love the FOMO of, or creating that FOMO of bring something random. And that also encourages the organic networking. You're standing in line and you're like, did you bring your chicken? What do you think the chicken is?
Yeah. Why was I asked to puffy paint my own sweatshirt? I don't know, but I haven't.
Please puffy paint sweatshirts.
Yes, we're doing it.
Can we do that for South by? Let's do that.
Absolutely. We're going to do a puffy paint session now.
Yeah.
I love that. Love that. I also love the pre-networking, right? Like using something like a social referral marketing like Lean In or Ingo. So you already know it's the age-old question of, well, who's all going to be there? And the videos and the social proof, I feel like we don't really lean into those testimonials as well, because I am a researcher. And then I will, as soon as I'm going to an event, I'm like, ooh, let me go on the Instagrams and the TikToks and look it up. Because I don't know about y'all, and I think you would agree, but like, are they not posting because we're not giving something that's postable?
Well, right. And like gather voices, if we're talking about those things, like it's a very simple tool to implement, and it just feeds you that path of tell people why you're coming to the event. And then you hit go. And not only do you as the event organizer have access to those videos, but people can share it. And it's even more engaging and interactive.
And why can't the partners, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was saying user-generated content.
Yeah, for sure.
And why can't the partners think about, we always call it sponsorship or partnership candy. Why can't they help create hype? So if you're talking about what's the pre-networking, like maybe they want to sponsor something cool. Like what if they all sponsored, I always wanted to do this, a pair of socks, and it has somebody else's face on it. That's another one of the attendees. And you have to wear your sock to the opening, these socks to the opening reception and find the person that's on your socks. And so the whole time it's going to be hilarious because they do have a job, especially for introverts that are like, I need something to do. What do I do with my hands? If talking and holding a drink is the only option, you're going to lose people. If you can get the introverts to be like, I'm just looking at your feet, you're looking at my feet. Am I on your socks? And where's my person? Like, that's really cool. And that's an awesome, do a face and the partners, message or that kind of thing. So think beyond, logos on signs for the partners, and you'll be able to upsell them and create these cool things that they've never been offered before.
I love that. And my boss is on the line. So, Stacy, I'm writing down all these things. If you could just approve that budget, that would be great. Love the socks. And then exchange them. Although I don't know if I would want to wear the socks on somebody else's.
Well, you don't exchange them. You just have to find them. Yeah.
But I would want a sock with I don't know. Would I want a sock?
No, I'm going to wear my Jihan socks everywhere I go. That's just what's going to happen.
Yeah. You keep that person. You have to connect with them on LinkedIn, whatever. I don't know. But yeah.
I love that. And can we talk a little bit more about sponsors and sponsorships? Because we were chatting about this just now, and I don't want to do another booth. Booths have their purpose. I get it. I totally get it. But what's something else that we can do to draw traffic and or I'm selling sponsorships. How about that? Since many of, our attendees here, they sell sponsorships. What are we selling instead of a booth?
Yeah.
That's a great question. And I think, what do the sponsors want? Is it possible for you to have partners, not sponsors, and actually incorporate them into the program so that you can showcase their tech? It's not always possible because you may have too many sponsors to do that. But that's my first question. If you have a small number of them, how can you actually make it so that the people that are coming to the event are experiencing the partner and not just going to the table? Now, if you have too many of them and you can't do that, let's think of other ways.
Mm-hmm. And I love the thing too is, what does the partner want to get out or have to get out of that for the certain amount of spend? So if this is this is our tier 2 spend, it's not the most money we spend in the year doing things, and it's surely not the least, but it is in the middle. And what they really want is for their message to get, so brand awareness, right? So I'm going to give an example we also want somebody to do one time, and it's a security conference, right? Imagine if you had to buy or you whatever is like a booth, but you don't have a booth there. And instead you just have a bunch of private security people all dressed in black with the little earpieces. And essentially you go there, and if this company, if their message is we're the most secure company as whatever, then why wouldn't you be the most secure attendee at the event? You can go and pick up a private security person and they walk you around the floor wherever you're going.
And take you to the front of the line for food.
Yes,
take you to the front of the swag line.
So, and now you've, instead of spending any money on a booth, it moves everywhere. So maybe somebody doesn't even come down that aisle. Well, you're making sure, like, that is 100% sure that everybody's going to see you with that private security and wonder, who's that? And like, whatever. And you know what? I'm the most secure person here and whatever. And so that's cool.
Yeah. So can you take more fun ways to engage without actually having to showcase their product or anything? Just get people talking about them and get people going, well, how do you meet? And then the bodyguard can tell them where to go meet with these people if they want to talk more.
Yeah. Imagine if you withheld a demo. You purposely like make something, be like, you can't have it. It's just reverse psychology, right? And just be like, no, we're not doing demos here. We won't even do them if you ask us to. You have to do those after the event or whatever. But here's what you can do to earn the chance to get a demo. Like, well, now I want one just because I can't have it.
We were also talking about when you say remixing, like, can you remix something that's going to have to happen at your event anyway, but incorporate the sponsors into it? So you're going to have to do lunch. People are going to sit at big round tables. Why can't you have the sponsors set it up and have it be a little bit more of a progressive lunch type experience? So you get 15 minutes at one table where you're talking to the sponsor and you're eating course number one. And now we're going to pick up and move, or the sponsors move and the next place seating comes out and you get the next opportunity to talk to them. And so everyone gets a chance to have real conversations with all of the people. You're eating lunch because you got to do it anyway, and actually have some fun with it.
I feel like that hits on so many things. One, the networking piece, because if you do it right, you curate it, people are sitting with different people, the sponsorship piece. And also a few of y'all had concerns and icks about there's always a line for lunch. They release everybody at one time. And if you do this progressive, and maybe even you incorporate something from the city, like this is a treat for this dessert, or you have a chef come in. I think those are wonderful, wonderful ideas. And the chat is going off. Liz and Nicole are literal geniuses.
Wait, we have one more idea that we've also wanted somebody to do is let's rethink lunch, right? So do a lineless lunch. That's what they could sponsor, right? And so you put their lunch in an apron. And now they're going around. If you want them to visit the trade show floor or whatever else, if you want to move it during your lunch, and then you're talking about like,
we got
chargers in there, surprises, all your things that you can move and go, and you just put the trash back in that pocket, whatever. And now you have this cool thing that you
talk about puffy paint. Maybe you start it by getting to paint your own apron, and then you can go stuff it with all the food. And now you go booth to booth and you're chatting with people and everybody's eating. So it's fun. And you even let the booth staff eat too, because no one lets the booth staff. But it's a communal experience, right? And then you have a good time. Then you can take the apron home, but maybe you won't because it's gross. I don't know.
I love that. Yes. I love the eat and go, a walk and talk. A good old walk and talk. Okay. So we're excited. We got people registered where we kind of dived. We jumped into some day of events, but people are there. People are now pumped to get to your event. Let's break down a typical event and chat about ways to, again, remix those elements. So starting with on-site check-in. A few of you, and I agree, the icks, you get there, you get to a line, there's people standing behind a desk, you give your
number one thing I hate. Your registration is the most isolating experience of your entire conference, where you walk in, you stand in line, you pick up your badge, or it's frictionless, which everyone thinks is a great idea until there's no humans at all. And then you go up and you don't even talk to a person. You just punch in your stuff, and then you get given the spit out thing of the badge, and you grab your own lanyard. And now what do? You look around for anyone you know. You don't know anyone.
And you get your bag of crap.
And so you get on your phone and you start to text, is anybody here? And you don't know. And so then you just try to look like you're not lonely because you're very busy in your phone. What a horrible first impression for the event. Where are the people? Bring in the people.
Yeah. So I even think of, why does the registration have to be the first thing they see, right? Like Liz and I, whenever we can, pretty much all of our events is, we are the hosts. Even if you bring us in to something else, you're going to get to us before you even get to the registration. So even just that validation of like, I'm in the right place. Am I at the right event? Especially if it's at a hotel and you have weird arrows and dumb signage everywhere and you don't even know what floor you're on and if you're wearing pants. Like that's having like, somebody saying like, you're in the right place. Like they're clearly from the event and whatever else. Maybe they're dancing and I don't know. But like high five line, whatever else. And then they're the directors, right? And go Ritz-Carlton style, open palm, where you want them to go, whatever. And so, you have to go to registration potentially, unless but that's kind of, how do you change it up on what happens before that?
We also have this thing that we have done at our events. We call it Cafe Bienvenido. So it's the welcome cafe. So they come in and you actually, like a hostess will seat you. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to put you at table 5 and you put them there. And so the first 5 or 6 people that come, they get assigned a table. The hostess is taking which seat they're in, just like at a restaurant. The hostess goes back and makes sure that the servers bring the badges and materials while the people sitting at that table are brought some snacks and they get to meet with the people at their table. And then that whole conversation starts. Now they start with a little tribe of people. Once they've gathered their belongings, then they can move on. And the whole thing just kind of works like a restaurant normally would. As people are on flow for registration, they get to start with their tribe and they get to move on to the next experience.
That is unreasonable hospitality. Like, because we've all been that person. You walk in, you're like, I don't know anybody. I want to be on my phone. Like you said, I'm a very, very busy woman. And you're already starting off. And Nicole, what you said about welcoming people, that is one of my biggest things. Like for Unconventional this year, Unconventional is our annual user conference. We had a reg section. So while some people might not like the loud blaring music, we had a DJ. It was mid-level, I think, but the excitement of like, hey, and I was standing up there with y'all. I am very much the person, like when the general session doors open and you're dancing, because that energy transfers. If you have 100% mass energy, it's going to transfer. So big fan of the hype community. You need some hype people in place to welcome.
And I love what I'm seeing in the chat. Ashley's spot on. So whenever you go to somebody's house, what happens? They ring the doorbell, you open the door, you offer to take their stuff, and then you offer them a drink. You don't just say, come on in, unless you really know them, and let them just be to their own devices and tell them to go get stuff from the fridge. You welcome them and you hand them a drink. Why don't more events hand them the welcome drink? I'm so glad you're here. Even if it's just sparkling water, right? Just something that's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. And it's that moment of hospitality.
And even creating like, let's take the word registration out, because didn't they already register? Yes, they did. What they're doing is they're arriving. And the idea of an arrival, even like arriving, we got to write that down for later. Right? Even when they're arriving at an airport and you see arrivals, like if you're picking somebody up from the airport, you're a little excited unless you don't like them. But if you're getting picked up, an airport pickup is my most favorite thing to people watch, to do whatever. And it's so exciting. It's emotional. It's whatever. You don't know why they're meeting. Who cares? But the idea of an arrival is like, even just in life, like I've arrived, like that's a cool word.
It's a very big moment. Big moment. So y'all are giving us the greatest ideas and we're really moving and grooving, but we only have 7 minutes left.
Oh my gosh, let's go.
Okay. Sorry.
One of the things, don't apologize. Are you kidding me? We should do a part 2. Anybody in favor of part 2, drop it in the chat. Let's talk about session formats, right? We know no manuals, no panels where people answer the same questions and agree with each other, because why am I here listening to that? What are some other things we could do to switch it up and not sit in a theater or round style? Chris, like.
Okay, so panel discussions aren't bad when they're well facilitated and they have people that have differing points of view and they have how-to things that people can get from them. But what makes a panel terrible is just that seating. Well, you got the 5 of the same horrible chairs that are the same chairs that everyone else is sitting in, and they're up there, and it's just weird. But what if you just did a simple thing and turn that into the feeling of like a TV talk show or a podcast studio? And you actually do have those mics being recorded, and the people in the audience are told, this is a live studio audience. We're actually going to be recording this podcast, and you're going to get to hang out and listen to this recording. It just feels different. The same damn thing is happening in the room, but it puts a very different energy to what's about to happen and changes it up.
You're not just an observer, you're a participant.
Absolutely.
Something simple. Get rid of all the tables, right? They're sitting in lounges. What do you need a table for? To let them do their work with their computer? No, thanks. No tables.
Yeah. Right. What about F&B really quickly? What are some things, Liz, you touched on the progressive lunch. What are some ways to encourage more networking even during these downtimes? Because I'm not going to lie to you, there are times where I just go back into my phone.
Well, I think there are a few rules that we have around food, and that is you have to give people something they want, something they need, and something surprising. So something they want means that it can't be rubber chicken and cream sauce only. You have to have the variety of things that people actually want to eat. Something they need, you have to pay attention to the dietary restrictions and things that people are going to need to make them feel safe. And then something surprising, like why do you have to put the ice cream break at 3 p.m.? Why not do it at 10 a.m.? Why not do the crepe and waffle bar at 3 p.m. and do something wild and fun and crazy? Why don't you go contract with Bananarchy and have them do the frozen banana stand and just do wild and ridiculous fun things that are photographic moments with the food, bring people together, you're laughing about things. The play aspect is so ripe for the food experience. We had this conversation around, well, people have forgotten how to play. When we get old, we just don't get to do it every day. We're told to sit down and shut up and listen to these people, and you just want to play more. So let the food be playful.
Have them put on a plastic suit and have a food fight.
Or let's do like finger painting with Jell-O pudding, right? Like, why can't we do like we used to do in kindergarten?
I love that. I think it all boils down to that, to play. We got more into academics and sitting down and listening. And even the managing directors of your big banks, they still need some play. They still need some interaction. They still need that nostalgia. Let's go into a lightning round, if you don't mind.
Do it. Bring it.
All ready to go.
So let's see. Let's start with, we talked about a little interactive sessions, but what else can we do let's see. Actually, let me go through these questions. This chat is popping off. Wow.
It's so fun. You're right, Laisha. Random sweet treats are a crowd pleaser. They are so fun. John wants a food fight.
What if you turned in your shoes and you got like funny slippers? You could like slippers with treads in case you're worried about tripping, or like Donald Duck slippers. I don't know, but you could, and have a slipper bar.
Love that. And that goes to the whole hospitality and welcoming somebody in your house, like, oh, take off your shoes and put on these slippers. Okay. Better seating options. We talked about no more rounds, no more tables, soft seating. What are some other things at Unconventional, we had outside sessions where it was very much around a campfire.
Yep.
Name badges. That got brought up a lot. What are some alternatives?
Because name badges are terrible. They are not intended for networking. They are intended for security and for labeling. And so you know who's a shark and who's a minnow, and that is the purpose of a name badge. But we keep relying on them to be the thing that makes us network, which I think is just so wrong. There are all these other opportunities to network. There are things you can add onto it, like the jabber yaks or the fun pins or the pieces of flair that will allow people to network. You don't have to rely on that thing that's hanging down by your belly button that makes people stare in a weird place. And you can't even see it when you sit down at the table to eat lunch because it's below the table line. So like, we don't need to even think about name badges from a networking perspective. There are other purposes. Networking, we add in differently, I think.
Yeah. And if you want them to, if you're worried about them, what are they going to talk about? Take away their last name and take away their company. If people walk around with just first names only, they're going to have very different conversations because they can't vet if you're worth their time or not. And that shouldn't be frustrating for them, because in other ways you could bring it back in more facilitated ways.
And if you need security, that's where the wristbands come in. Other things come in. So you can still, all of our events are first name only name badge, and people actually have to find out who they are. It's way more fun.
Yeah, you force people to talk, but it's a gentle forcing. We talked about, toddlers, sometimes they don't want to try things at first, but when they try it, they're like, oh, I actually do like that cereal. And sometimes I think we get stuck in our old ways, and it's like, well, I want to seek out these certain people, but you don't know. It's walking into a store, you don't know who's going to buy the most.
It does bring you back to the purpose of your event, though. If the purpose of your event is a marketplace and it is sharks and minnows, then you do have to have those designations. So don't think that this is a broad stroke across everything. But if the purpose of your event is community building and networking, and that's why people are there, or maybe you just take away those name badges for the one networking event. Say, leave your name badge up here. You can pick it up on the way out. This is a first name only event, and kind of keep that. So you don't have to do the whole event that way.
I love that. I love that reminder that some things work for some people and not for other events. So take these, implement them. What about, I'm going to give you one last one. We're at time. Sourcing. We have some sourcing icks from the crowd, and you get pictures from the venue, and you just have to rely on that. What are some other things that we can do to kind of crowdsource?
I think it's really helpful to just ask people. You know, you go into your communities. Club Ichi has a community, and in the Slack channel, there's a venues channel that people are always like, oh my God, I need a place for 150 people in San Francisco, C-suite event. Where should I go? Go. And people just give those recommendations. And so the photos are great. You have to use the photos. Some people have the virtual tours. Those are great too. But if you can find video content about it, if you can talk to other people about it, if you can someone in your city that can like pop by for you, that's handy too.
If a way to eliminate what's in the normal search engines is look for a family owned and operated venue of some kind. That could be a property, it could be whatever else, but when it's not part of a chain, that's cool. Meaning like you're going to find those hidden gems where they would never spend the money anyways to get listed because they don't need to. And so those are like the really cool finds, is the ones that are purposefully not on the big search engines.
And you find them through word of mouth, through communities.
And those places are unconventional.
They are.
True that.
So tell the people where they can find you.
We live and breathe in Club Ichi. We are ichi.com. We are also on LinkedIn all the time, every day. And in the Club Ichi Slack channel, every moment of every hour of every day. So come hang with us in Club Ichi.
Yes. And if you're an insider member, you get at the top of all of our invites for the crazy things that we do to give you examples of all these kinds of things that you can do. And the fun fact is we never do the same thing twice on purpose. So,
and we love to play a game called, it would be really fun. So if you're one of our Club Ichi insiders and you need a brainstorm session, that's what we love to do. So come hang with us here. And it is for our B2B event marketers. And it is a beautiful, thriving, fun community.
I can attest to that. It is a beautiful, fun, and thriving community. Liz Nicole, thank you so much for your time. This was amazing. I can't wait to do it again. And thank you all for joining out there. We will be sending out this recording, so look out for it. And let's brainstorm and come up with some great shit together.
Yay. Next time we can talk about the custom in-flight emergency thing we did one time when we chartered a plane. So we can do that next time.
Oh, I love that. Thanks, y'all.
Bye.